Hello, I'm Dr. Craig Childress, a clinical psychologist in Pasadena, California, and I'm talking with you, the kid who's involved in a particular type of family relationship process where you're entirely rejecting of a relationship with one of your parents following a divorce, and you want to spend the entirety of your time with the other parent. And the reason you're doing this is because you feel this intense anger and almost hatred for the rejected parent. Something about them is really, really annoying and irritating, and you can't quite put your finger on it, but something about who they are, or the tone of voice, or something that they're doing that makes them really annoying. And when you're over with the favored parent, the one that you get along with, everything's fine. That feeling goes away, and life is good. Okay, so you've been asked to watch this video series probably by the rejected parent, and I appreciate it. And I will be describing in this video series what's going on from a family perspective and from a relationship perspective, and then how to make that feeling that you're experiencing, that intense anger and hatred, how to make it go away and simply vanish. Now, in the previous segment, I talked about something called the attachment system, which is a brain-based, neurobiologically based relationship system that strongly promotes children's bonding to parents, because children who bonded to parents received protection from predators, while children who didn't bond so strongly to parents were eaten by predators, so those genes got removed from the gene pool. So it's a very basic and fundamental system. And it creates two characteristics. First, the possessive ownership to the relationship, and then second, a grief response when that relationship is severed. Now, in this video segment, I'm going to be discussing how that relationship system, how the attachment system got a little bit twisted and knotted up. That's creating some problems in the relationships within the family. And what happened is that after the divorce, the favored parent, the one that you like, you and the favored parent created a meaning construction or a definition of the other parent, of the rejected parent, as somehow being fundamentally inadequate and bad as a parent. And the way this occurred was that when you came back from visitations with the rejected parent, who at the time you were still getting along with, but you'd come back and you'd spend time with a favored parent, that favored parent would show this sort of anxious concern as to whether or not you were okay on your visitation. Was everything okay? Did they treat you well enough? Did they get angry at you? Are you doing okay? And if you responded to the parent that, yeah, everything was great, we had a wonderful time, the favored parent would go into sort of a rejected or withdrawn state. They might just look away, or just a subtle but very small sort of drop in emotional tone of just, oh, okay. Whereas if you criticized the rejected parent and you said, yeah, it was kind of boring, I didn't get along with them so well, or, yeah, we got in an argument, they asked me to, do the dishes, and we just got in a fight about it. Okay, any sort of criticism of the rejected parent, then the favored parent would get all animated and concerned, and, oh my goodness, what happened, and tell me more about it, and oh my gosh, I can't believe they get angry like that. They've always had this anger management problem. I wish they wouldn't do that. Or they just don't understand how you feel or what's going on for you. They're so insensitive. It always has to be about them. Why can't they just listen to you and show more sensitivity for you? And so the favored parent would get all riled up and in criticizing and supporting your criticism of the rejected parent. Now, there may be people that you've been involved with, therapists or others, who've suggested to you that perhaps the favored parent is turning you against the rejected parent or alienating you. You might have heard that word. But that's not going on. The favored parent is not like bad-mouthing the other parent, not trying to convince you that the other parent is bad. You authentically feel this anger and hatred and this annoyance with the other parent. I get it. Yeah, it's a real feeling for you. So it's not that the other parent's convincing you to feel this way. You feel that. But what happened was that, or at least started, is that when you went back and criticized the rejected parent to the favored parent, they would get all animated and support you And it appears, at least to you at the time, that the favored parent was simply being nurturing and supportive of you. It was you're the one that was criticizing. They were simply being understanding and supportive. I can't believe that they did this to you, or that they didn't listen to you, or that they're so angry and have these anger management problems. But what's really going on there underneath the surface is that the favored parent is communicating to you at a very subtle level that your criticism is accurate, that the other parent is a bad parent, that they are so fundamentally inadequate as a parent that first they need your protection, or you need protection from the favored parent, because the parenting of the rejected parent is so bad that it's almost emotionally abusive to you, or that's the definition that's gotten created. And that in getting all riled up, the favored parent communicates to you what the desired narrative is, or what the desired definition is for what's wrong with the other parent. They're very insensitive to your feelings, or they only think of themselves, or they have anger management problems, or it's just something about the way they talk and their tone of voice and who they are that's so irritating. And the favored parent might have even said to you, yeah, I know exactly what you're going through. That was a problem in our marriage, or that was a problem I lived with for so long, is they are just really annoying. And in doing that, the favored parent communicated to you that the other parent, the rejected parent, was somehow inadequate and bad as a parent. Okay? And that inadequacy and badness as a parent was harmful to you, was emotionally abusive or psychologically abusive to you. Now, in truth, I can tell you this, in truth, the rejected parent is a normal range parent. They're fine. Their parenting's fine. And if you think about it, and this is where I'm going to challenge you a little bit. If you think about it, you know that's true. You know their parenting is not all that different than the parenting you get, or that your friends receive from their parents. Parents sometimes get angry at kids. They ask them to do things that kids don't like. That's normal. Okay? That's not emotionally abusive. And in fact, if you think about it, that rejected parent is probably trying to be pretty nice to you. And they're trying to get along, and they're trying to cooperate. You're the one that's kind of angry, but you can't quite figure out why you're so angry. Okay, it's not something they're doing necessarily. It's just something about who they are. It's something about how they say things. You can't figure it out, but boy, are you angry with them. And so it's not that necessarily that they're really a bad parent, and if you are truthful with yourself, you kind of realize that. But I don't discount that you're really angry and that something's going on there. Now, what happens here is when you and the favored parent created or co-created this definition of the rejected parent as being fundamentally inadequate and as a bad parent who represents a danger or threat to you of emotional or psychological abuse, what you've done relative to the attachment system is defined the rejected parent as being the predator, as being the threat. They're no longer a nurturing, protective parent for you. They're a threat to you, somehow because of their inadequacy as a parent. Now, the attachment system does not motivate children to bond to the predator. In fact, it motivates children to flee the predator and bond to the nurturing, protective parent, which is exactly what we're seeing. You're motivated to flee, to completely reject and abandon the rejected parent, and to seek the nurturing, protective parent, or at least that's the way it appears, is that this parent's presenting as, I'm so concerned about you, and I understand what you're going through, and they appear to be simply nurturing and understanding of you in your distress. Okay, so they're the nurturing, understanding parent, and so you are fleeing the predator and seeking the protection of the nurturing parent. And so in the next segment, I'll talk about where that feeling comes from of the anger, that authentic feeling that you have of the anger and irritation and annoyance.